Hey, what's up guys? Today I am going to show you my most recent iteration of my eyebrow routine, which is getting a more fluffy, feathery brow using soap. I saw a video from Pixiwoo a couple of months ago, maybe a month and a half ago, whatever it was. It was a little while ago, and it was about using soap to make Hollywood brows, which are basically a beautiful, fluffy iteration of an eyebrow, very softly filled in. And it was absolutely beautiful, but it didn't really look like it would be any different than using brow gel, in my opinion. And apparently I'm the only one who thought that, because another beautiful Sam from Battleash, said that she thought the same thing, and then she saw them on Sam Chapman in person and was like, whoa, your brows are amazing. And then she used the soap technique, and the soap blew every other gel out of the water, and I was like, all right, I guess I'm gonna try it. However, my version is a little bit different than Sam Chapman's, because Sam's was a very, very feathery brow that was very fluffy and not defined. And to be honest, when I do my brows like that, I feel like I look so weird. And I know it's probably just a personal thing, but that being said, brows are a very personal thing. So if you've been looking for a way to do a more fluffy brow, and you really want to try like the feathery look, maybe this is like a good medium for you. Like, this is a good defined feathery brow. So that is what you have been looking for. Keep on watching. First, before I start working on these brows, let's take a moment to appreciate how crazy this makeup look looks on my face when I don't have my eyebrows on. I look a little crazy. I look like an alien. We're gonna put some brows on and we're gonna fix that, because so to start these soap brows, we need to first have a few things. The first one is soap. I just have like a little teeny tiny bar of soap here, and I keep it in a little dish. And then usually I keep that by my sink and do it in there, but since I'm sitting down in front of my camera, I just brought another little dish of water. And the third thing we need is a spoolie brush. Now, this is not one that has anything on it. There's no eyebrow gel on it. It's not from a mascara tube. I have a weird flap. I just buy packages of these on Amazon. They're really cheap. You could probably get them at Sally Beauty Supply or something too if you want to do it in person. But yeah, there's a plain little clean spoolie. The idea here is that we want to use the soap to push the brows up into a fluffier position like we would do with a gel, but better. So I am going to take my spoolie. I'm going to just wet it in the water. You can just run it under the sink if you have it in your bathroom. Then I'm going to take my little piece of soap. I like to keep it in the dish so that way I could just get like better leverage to rub this on the soap. But like if you just have a bigger bar, you could just grab it and go. Again, no dish necessary. Just trying to keep it neat for the purposes of this video. I'm just gonna rub the pre-dampened spoolie across the top of the soap, and I'm gonna just wet it a little bit more if I don't feel like I'm getting enough of the soap on it. Once I have a good amount of soap on the spoolie itself, I'm going to start brushing the soapy spoolie through the brows. Now, a lot of times when people do this technique, I've seen them do the whole brow upward, and it looks really cool if you do it that way. But for me, I kind of start to look a little bit like Jack Nicholson if I do that. So I'm going to just run the soap on the spoolie through the front half of the brow and get them sticking up in the air. And then I'm going to do the rest of the brow like I would normally if I was using a brow gel. And there are some spots on my brows where they don't like to go up. They like to go to the side. And if for those spots, if they're being a little stubborn, I will brush it over first and then up. And that kind of helps to jar it out of like the little spot that it wants to be in naturally. And as you can see right now, my brows are already really lifted, but they look like super freaking crazy because they're up and then like, but we're gonna fix that because we're gonna go in with some stuff. Once the soap is in the brows, I am just going to take my finger and press down on them. That kind of just takes that sticky soap and just mushes it into place. And once it dries, it's just not going anywhere. I don't know why. I don't understand how this works better than brow gel. I think it must have something to do with glycerin content. I don't know, but it works really damn well. Now that the brows are gelled, soaked into place, I want to start filling them in because as you can see, they are fluffy, but they are not very defined or very full. They're a little sparse. They're a little sparse and they ain't cute. So I'm going to use my Anastasia Dip Brow Pomade in dark brown, as well as this angle brush, which is not actually a makeup brush. I got this at Michael's. It is a craft brush, but it gets the job done really well. So keep that in mind if you need brushes. Sometimes you can get them at the craft store. I'm going to load this brush with a fairly small amount of the Dip Brow Pomade. Keep in mind, if you're using Dip Brow or something similar, a little goes a very long way because it is generally an extremely pigmented product. With that brush, with the pomade on it, I'm going to start drawing hair-like strokes in the front half of my brows where I wish I had more hair. So for me, generally, that is the underneath side. I have plenty of hairs on the top side of my brow. It's underneath where it needs more definition and it gets a little bit sparse. So that's where I start first. You usually, when you're doing anything with makeup, you always want to start by placing your product on the place where you want the most product because your brush has the most of it on there at that point. That should be pretty obvious, but I guess it's not because I felt the need to say it. This is really similar to the way that I did my brows in my previous brow video, except I am taking those strokes and carrying them out almost all the way to the arch instead of stopping about here and then starting to draw a solid line underneath. I like to specifically start that definition at a certain point in the brow, and I think I have a balance of it that I like now, so that is what I'm going to show you. I like to start the definition halfway through the arch and out to the tail, and on only the very end of the tail on the top, and then I leave the rest of the brow undefined along the top. So I'm just going to load a little bit more of the Dip Brow Pomade onto that same brush and start defining the underneath side of the brow. And if you notice, I am defining it in a straighter line, but I'm also including more little strokes to mimic hair so it doesn't become a complete block. I'm just doing a couple more strokes in the meat of the brow as well, just to make sure it doesn't look sparse. And then, like I said before, just defining the tail. So past this point here, I'm not going to define the top of the brow at all. I'm just going to let it be defined by the actual hairs that are growing off of my face. To add a little bit more definition and a few more hair-like strokes in some areas where I think it needs it, like right here on this brow, I think it needs to be lifted up a little bit more, but I don't want to take away from that fluffy look. I'm going to grab a slightly lighter brow product, and I mean lighter both in texture as well as color. So I'm going to use Anastasia Brow Wiz Pencil in the color medium brown rather than dark brown. I'm going to go through the center of the brows in little hair-like flick motions, and I'm also going to go through the same areas where I did those little hair-like strokes at the front of the brow, because I think adding a little bit of color variation fills it in without making it look like a block and keeping that like fluffy look to it. And I'm also going to do that along the top half of the brow, not on the outside line because I don't want a harsh line or anything like really obviously drawn in on the top, but through the actual arch of the brow and where there are a few hairs, I'm going to fill that in with this pencil. And the reason I'm doing that is because eyebrows are sisters, not twins, and obviously my brows are naturally shaped a little differently, but this one is looking a little bit more like a cousin, you know what I mean? So you want to kind of bring it into the same realm as the other one. And that is the finished brow. You can see it is defined enough that I feel like I still have a good shape, but it's also pretty fluffy and doesn't really have any area where it's like completely solid looking, which is what I was going for. Thank you guys so much for watching this tutorial. I will link below the Pixiwoo video that I learned the soap technique from. It's bomb, they're bomb. I owe so much of my makeup knowledge to them. They're the best ever. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed watching it, which I hope you did. Follow me on social media. I am on Instagram posting my makeup looks every day, Snapchat being a silly bitch, and I am also on Twitter chatting it up, so follow me on there. Those are all at Miss QuinnFace. I'm always at Miss QuinnFace on every platform, so follow me on all of those, and I'm really easy to find. I make it real easy for you guys. Check out my blog post that will go along with this. I'm going to add some extra links and stuff in there so you guys can read more about other ways that I've done my brows in the past. What else? Don't forget to subscribe so I could put this face in your beautiful little face once a week. And that should be it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye. So there. The boo boo.